Yordan Alvarez says he's fully healthy and reminds everyone he's never been hurt playing left field, and the team plans to allow him to play left field and DH. Lance McCullers Jr. is embracing what could be his final season in Houston, while an infield full of everyday players are fighting for everyday at-bats. This isn't just spring training. This is roster under pressure to define itself. Let's go.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. We hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. He is Brett Chancey. We are the Locked On Astros podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen, whether it's at Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen. Part of the number one podcast network out there, Locked On. We are the number one Astros podcast out there, Locked On Astros, of course. Thank you for subscribing to us. For all those people that have subscribed on YouTube, we're trying to get to 16,000 subscribers, then from there to 20,000 subscribers, but we can't do that without our everydayers. And we have a special option for the everydayers. All you have to do is just go to lockedonastros.supercast.com and you can go ahead and join for as little as $5 a month or $50 a year. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But today was an interesting day. It was the first day of that the full squad reported, and it seemed like Yordan Alvarez had a little bit of beef with some of the talk that's been going on this whole offseason. And Joe Espada, was there a little bit of communication between his playing time? We'll talk about that. And Lance McCullers, he talked about it. And the tone of the conversation, it was a little bit weird. We're going to talk about what McCullers said as well. And Cavan Biggio, a legacy player, when is he going to actually get a chance to play? It's not going to be right away. We'll talk about why and what number is Biggio going to be wearing with the Houston Astros. We'll talk about this and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Yeah, definitely. So Yordan Alvarez, yesterday talked to the media. We actually have that full interview on the YouTube channel. So if you have missed it and you're listening, go to our YouTube channel, check it out. It is under videos, not under live feed. But Yordan Alvarez feels good. He's fully healthy. There's footage from him today taking fly balls in the outfield. And one of the things that Joe Espada quickly dispelled was the kind of, 24-hour narrative. I'm not going to say it's a full-blown narrative because it's only been born about 24 hours that, Joe Espada had been quoted as almost saying definitively that Yordan Alvarez is only going to be DH and he's never going to play left field. Well, that isn't what Joe Espada said, and he cleared that up right away. Now, Joe Espada has been very open about we primarily want him as a DH, but primarily being a DH doesn't mean exclusively a DH. And with the amount of guys that you have on this team, and if everybody's healthy, you're going to have to juggle. You're going to have to move guys around. And so I think Yordan will get a chance to play. But look, statistically speaking, he is a better hitter in the box. He hits for higher OPS. He hits more home runs. He hits for higher average. I mean, there are a lot of things to be desired with Yordan as the left fielder. And I think the reason why the team continues to have the propensity to shift him to a primary DH position is because he has had both knees replaced. He has had knee surgery. He did have the ankle issue last year running home. And so the more running you do on those knees and that ankle, and as imposing of a player as he is, Eric, it makes sense that the Astros are trying to take care of their investment. But look, if the guy wants to play in left field, get him out there in the field, let him play.
As most of you everydayers can attest to this, we have never said on this podcast that Alvarez will be the everyday left field. DH. We said that he will get some time in left field Now, the more he plays left field, that's the more that you can have Altuve play some DH. You can have Paredes play some more DH. You can have maybe have more of a rotation going. So the more he's able to play left field, that helps the Houston Astros because you have that whole logjam on the infield. So if you have Alvarez playing left field, that helps a lot more. So the question is, how much is he going to play left field? Primarily be DH. That means that if you're looking at 7 games in a week, primarily in my head, that means 6 out of 7 games. So Joe Espada may not have said he's going to only be the DH, but when you say primarily, that does mean you're going to play a majority of the games.
So Ben here, one of our loyal viewers says, well, I think it's going to be at least 70 games. No. Last year, Joe Espada, and even in the offseason, has said we don't want him playing, I believe if I remember the number correctly, around 45 or 50 games. I mean, they want to really limit him being out there in left field, and he's actually put a number on it. I would have to go search to quote him verbatim. But at the end of the day, Eric, it all comes down to where is there a need? And look, if Jose Altuve is primarily your second baseman because he is going to be playing a majority of his games at second base, as they are indicating the team, then left field's going to have to be manned by somebody. It's not going to be Isaac Paredes. I right now don't see him really going anywhere. But Yordan Alvarez loves playing the outfield. Yordan Alvarez does have his own mind of where he wants to do and what he wants to do. And I recall the time that I interviewed him in a rehab start at AAA Sugarland. And Yordan Alvarez that day said, yes, tomorrow I'm going to be playing in left field and I'm going to be hitting. Well, the next day he rested. So what Yordan wants isn't what Yordan always gets. And so the player may have the mindset that they're going to do something, but it's the club that ultimately decides.
And when you're in the field, I know Evan Gattis is the biggest example of this. He wasn't the best catcher, but when he played catcher, he hit a lot better. So when you're in the game playing left field, you feel more part of the game. You feel like more in tune to it. So I know that's how Alvarez feels. He's not the David Ortiz where he can just sit down all game and just get ready and go ahead and go out there, hit 3 home runs. Sometimes he can, but he gets more into the flow of things when he's part of the game. And so they obviously don't want Altuve back in left field. He may play occasionally in left field, but I guess I'm speaking for you, Brett. Sorry if I'm doing this, but I think between both of us, we'd much rather see Alvarez in left field over Altuve any day of the week. But we like his arm. He's got much stronger arm than Altuve does. Yeah. He's a taller. He's able to get to some of those fly balls, and he seems to be a little bit more athletic out there. Now, Altuve, if the diminishing skills are still there at second base, and I know that Paredes was playing some second base in some infield drills today. He was getting some one-on-one conversation with Joe Espada. So if they get him comfortable playing second base where he looks good, he has played that before, but evaluators are question how he's going to look playing long-term. But if he looks good playing second base, that means you can put Altuve playing DH, which he doesn't want either. Nobody wants to be the full-time DH. So that's why it's probably going to be a little bit more of a rotation at the DH spot.
Well, here's the deal, because I actually ran some numbers on Jose Altuve and Isaac Paredes. And of course, it's really hard to compare the two because of the amount of service time that Jose Altuve has at second base, Eric. But if you just look at their UZR, if you look at their metrics at second base, right here, Altuve is minus 39.4 and Paredes is minus 0.1. And I believe, look, here's the deal. On range, I think Paredes has a slight edge because he's got younger legs. He can probably move a little bit better. Experience, you give Altuve the edge. Defensive reliability, the slight edge goes to Altuve. Defensive ceiling, I don't think either one is elite. And then long-term defensive outlook, Paredes has the advantage because of his age. If you do not move him, which the Astros have expressed them wanting to move him, then you hope that while he's here, if there is an unfortunate instance where someone does get hurt, you've got a guy in Paredes that can play all over the field. Now, other than shortstop, you can put him at first, you can put him at third, you can put him at second. So he definitely makes your lineup better, I think, offensively, obviously, but I think defensively, he gives you a very reliable go-to guy. I'm hoping Paredes is on this roster come opening day.
Yeah, I think everybody does, especially what he can do at Dyken Park, especially with the Crawford boxes out there. The Crawford boxes out there, I think he can go out there and crush some home runs. So we'll go and continue this conversation. Also, what did Lance McCullers say? We'll talk about that next on the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hey, Astros fans, tax season doesn't have to take over your life this year. TurboTax is making it easier than ever before to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get your updates right there on the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing that an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local tax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file your taxes last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Have you heard of the Everydayers Club? It's this awesome new feature where you, for as little as $5 a month or $50 a year, you can get access to the ad-free version or the Discord server where you can interact with other Locked On Astros listeners outside of the normal podcast hours. And if you upgrade to the all access version, you get the newsletter, you get access to subtext where you can directly text Brett and I. We can respond to you if there's a big move like the Astros signing Cavan Biggio. We can go ahead and send out a text. Hey guys, did you see this? What do you think about this? It's just a way to get into the conversation a little bit more. Don't forget about the discount you get for Locked On merchandise. So all you have to do is just go to lockedonastros.supercast.com and you can join the Everydayers Club today. And also the link is in the show notes. So Brett, I know that Joe Espada is going to figure out the whole Alvarez situation. It's going to probably, especially if Paredes stays, it's probably going to be worked out. If whether it's Alvarez playing more left field, it's somebody playing more left field, they're going to figure out a way to keep his bat and everybody else's bat in the lineup. But right now, let's go and focus about Lance McCullers. When he came up, he was this can't miss pitcher. Everybody was rooting for him. Bury me in the H. And I know that everybody wanted the extension, the 5-year deal he got. And unfortunately, as soon as the extension hit, that's when the injuries hit for Lance McCullers. And you can tell with some of his comments today that he's frustrated. He did come back last year. He did pitch a little bit. There were some mixed reviews. I know they tried the bullpen for him. Mixed reviews, but today it was a little bit different story, a little bit more somber mood, but at the same time, he was looking to reward Astros fans that have been patient throughout the last 4 years of his career.
Yeah. Okay. So Lance has been pretty resilient publicly, and I think that public persona isn't just a persona. I think that's who he is. You know, you and I, about 2 or 3 seasons ago, had the honor of interviewing him during spring training. And the kid has had no problem with confidence his entire career. But I think through all of the trials that he's been through, it is extremely hard because of the way we are wired as men in our brains. And, he is an alpha. He is a guy that he wants to be the firebrand. He wants to be the name of the city. He wants to do everything he can to be great for him, to be great for his family, to be great for his city. So he puts his heart into everything he does. And for the first time, when I listened to Lance McCullers talk, I just heard a defeated, like, it's almost that time. Like my time is coming. I don't know if it's tomorrow. I don't know if it's this year, but I am okay with post-baseball life. I've got beautiful daughters. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got all these things. My family's going to be fine. And for the first time, I had heard a Lance McCullers Jr. that sounds like maybe he's understanding, or maybe he feels like he's in a place that he knows there's not much room to not be successful. Because, he did have flashes of brilliance last year. He went out and had those games where he struck out double-digit hitters, and, he showed that he still got it. His arsenal is completely different because he relies heavily on his breaking stuff. And I just think this is the final year he's going to be an Astro. He's in the final year of his contract. I just don't know what we're going to see. Eric, I don't even know if he emerges out of spring training as a part of the starting rotation. And if he doesn't appear out of the starting rotation, does he have enough in the tank to be a relief pitcher? And you know what? He might find it. He might find the fountain of youth. And if he is successful and does well, that does nothing but help the Houston Astros. But go ahead.
Well, going on about what he actually said today, he said, I would love to be good, not just to continue my career, but just because I would love to be good for this organization and this fan base in my last year here. If my future for me to be is home with them, I'll be happy with that. I'll be content with that. And he said, I'm old now. He's 33. And for him to think he's old, that's not old. And I guess in Major League Baseball, it's kind of old, but you have Justin Verlander out there still pitching. So I just think that more speaks to the injury situation that he's dealing with. And he said, so I'm not coming back into this year like, my gosh, if I don't pitch well or if I'm not healthy, what am I going to do? He just wants to go out there and do the best he can for Astros fans. So in one way, it's like, okay, he wants to go out there and put up or shut up. But at the same time, it's like, it's just weird seeing this guy that was so confident and everything. And is this the end? I don't want it to be, because this is a guy that you've been rooting for, especially with all the injuries. I know that fans have been like, oh, he's going to end up on an IL again. But we don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know if long-term he's going to be a bullpen arm, because I don't know if his elbow and his arm is built for that. And maybe. But I think that all offseason, all the talk has been he's looking healthy. He's entering this season healthy for the first time. And he's going to fight for a spot in the starting rotation. My question is, if he doesn't make the starting rotation, what does that mean? Is he going to be a bullpen arm? What's next for McCullers?
Look, what's next is, I think it's either success or failure for him. I think it's success in being a part of the starting rotation, or maybe he's not even in an Astros uniform come opening day.
Yeah.
And I don't say that because I'm hating on Lance McCullers Jr. It's just, I'm trying to read the room. I'm trying to look at the litany of setbacks and injuries that he's had. Now, if you take away half of his injuries, then this guy has a brilliant career, because in 2017, he was a major part of that first World Series win for the Houston Astros organization. And, ever since then, when he has been healthy, the dude can shove. Now, he was tipping pitches in 2022 in the World Series when he gave up the 5 home runs, and that was a terrible outing, and he probably has nightmares about that night. Maybe he's gotten over it, but this is a guy that he is trying to chase and find a Lance McCullers that he's never had to find before, because Lance McCullers that he's been has been the confident firebrand. Now he's trying to find who he is and where he fits in. And that's why I'm saying that today. He just sounded defeated. And I can't imagine, I don't know that I would have had the fortitude that he's had to hang in as long as he's had through all the injuries. I think a lot of us listening and watching probably would have quit a long time ago. Yeah. He's never given up. You can't knock the man for that. And he has never said, you know what, I'm not a part of this team. Remember when he was on the sideline in the playoffs and he was jumping out of the dugout in Arlington and doing all this stuff? He's always been there. So you've got to tip your hat to Lance McCullers for that. It's just tough to hear him, Eric, because you know what he wants to be doing. But someone in the comments said it sounds like he's been humbled. And sometimes humility by injury is one of the toughest pills to swallow.
And I hope that he does well. I hope that he is part of this rotation because we've all rooted for him. But at the same time, we want him to be happy. We want him to just have that respect for himself. And at some point, even for love of the game, the guy had to know when it was time to say goodbye. And so if this is the case with Lance McCullers, he'll know once he starts facing hitters and once he knows if he still has it or not. But I hope that the Astros give him a chance and he sticks in the rotation. But the rotation is deeper than it's ever been. But the Astros lineup, it is pretty deep, but we'll talk about what Cavan Biggio's role could be on this Astros roster. We'll talk about that next. Thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. So I know we were just talking about Lance McCullers. I got a little bit emotional there, but you don't like to talk about what could potentially be the end of somebody's career. But I know we're going to have to deal with that at some point with Jose Altuve. He's not going to be the same Jose Altuve forever. I know that we hope that he retires as an Astro. Dana Brown's made a lot of promises, but Altuve's got to retire as Astro. But one guy that did retire with the Houston Astros was Cavan Biggio, and it kind of came back to us that his son, after a few years playing with other organizations, he's coming back to play with the Astros. Cavan Biggio, I know that he's no longer a young kid anymore, but he's come with a lot of experience. He is a left-handed hitter. He can play every position except for pitcher and catcher. But he also had a elbow scope, and he's going to be not able to play any games for about 2 to 3 weeks. So that's going to put him a little bit behind. But his dad is definitely very happy to have another Biggio inside the organization.
Yeah, definitely. And it was interesting when I listened to the interview, and later on I'm gonna post his full interview from the media today in the locker room. Look, Cavan basically said, you know, my dad wasn't really involved in this. There were a couple teams that had reached out to me, but the Astros showed real interest. That's why I'm here. You know, it's a lot different from when I was kind of a bat boy in the dugout. And yeah, you know, I looked at maybe playing for the same team that my dad played for, you know, I was a kid, but at the end of the day, Cavan Biggio is Cavan Biggio. Him and Craig have separate careers. Craig has always been the parent that is very quiet on the outside. I've actually observed him years ago in my school district. We have this large volleyball tournament, and his daughter was playing for St. Agnes, and he was there watching, and we didn't even realize he was in our gym until the second set, because he never claps, he never cheers, he never makes a big deal. He watches his kids play. He leaves, goes, sits in his car and chills out and waits till the next game. He's very low key. He lets his kids perform and do their thing. And that's what I like about Craig Biggio. Cavan Biggio, look, this is a low risk, high reward. It's a minor league contract. If he starts breaking out and there's an opportunity for him to join the club, he's versatile, like you mentioned. He can play multiple positions. So this is a move that can't hurt the Astros. It can only help. And Eric, you mentioned the number earlier. He's going to be wearing number 4, which is his sister's number at Notre Dame. And he is still very close with George Springer. And so he likes wearing that number 4. And it was actually Craig's number when he was first drafted into the Astros organization. When he first got called up, I believe he was number 4. So kind of an ode to his father, his sister, and George Springer. So you love to hear that.
Yes, and I know somebody mentioned it in the chat that Biggio is out of options. I'm looking for that to get clarification. But even if he is out of options, he is out of options. So even if he is out of options, the Astros, if he doesn't make the opening day roster, there's 2 options. Either he starts the season on IL. He's coming off the elbow scope, so he needs time to get up to game speed, so he can go to IL on his own, like that. Or these players can accept minor league assignments if they're not ready. So that's why you've seen players like Evan Gattis. 2 times in the show I've mentioned Evan Gattis, but Evan Gattis went down to the minor leagues when he was out of options one time to kind of work on his swing. So that's something that Cavan Biggio could do, but the most likely option is probably the IL situation because he's going to be delayed starting spring training. So just to kind of get him ready to possibly help the Houston Astros. But if the Astros don't think that they can use him, then they won't even bother with the situation. But they were going to give him a chance to recover and get up to speed and see what role he'll have on this roster.
Yeah, definitely. But look, man, I think competition is definitely there for this team. Jake Myers spoke to the media for the first time today. That was good to hear from Jake Myers. So you'll also see that interview, posting that as well. An interesting note, Imai was out there at shortstop yesterday in spring training, and someone asked Espada today, they're like, why was Imai at shortstop? He said, well, he came to me and told me, I really have always wanted to play shortstop. Can I play shortstop? He goes, you can go out there, but you're not going to be working with the shortstops and taking ground balls. You can be out there when they're hitting, and if you get a ball hit your way, you can field it, but we're not going through fielding drills with you at shortstop. But I thought that was a little interesting thing. And those are things that if y'all are going to spring training, get to the fields, get there early, go to the backfields, go to practices. There's all kinds of neat things that you'll get to see the players doing that you wouldn't get to see in a regular season ball game.
Yeah, and there is an NA but next to Cavan Biggio as well. So that may mean that because he signed a minor league deal, it doesn't even apply. So there's so many different caveats to this whole minor league thing. So he may just start on the minor league roster until the Astros need him. And so that could be the stipulation as well. But yeah, I remember that time I went to spring training and I got to meet, to show how long ago this was, Joe Musgrove and whole bunch of the guys. I took a picture with him, but that was a long time ago. But I wouldn't say that was back in 2017, 2016. It was something like that during his rookie or the season after his rookie season. It was something like that. But it's fun. I haven't been to a new ballpark out there. Maybe sometime once my life slows down, I'll go ahead and make it down to Florida. But spring training is all about finding out who's going to play for the team and figure out what positions they're going to play. There's not a lot of open roles on this roster, but at the same time, there's a lot of different spots for the rotation that are up for grabs because you have so many different options this year for the bullpen, for the infield. not really. There's not a lot of spots, but the outfield, there's definitely going to be some competition. So there's a whole bunch of different reasons to just pay attention to spring training this year. And it's all going to be, where are people going to play? And that's why we want y'all to tune in to Locked On Astros podcast, all spring training. We're going to be talking about all the different storylines. How often is Alvarez going to play left field? When is Cavan Biggio going to get into some game action? When is Paredes going to play his first game at second base, at first base? This is all the storylines that you're going to be hearing us talk about all spring training. So go and make us your first listen.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely want you to check out the Everydayers Club as well. Why? Because people like you watch our show every single day and you make Locked On Astros your first listen. Look, we're going to continue to talk about the stories that come out of spring training, sound bites from the various players, managers. And I would love to hear some more from Dana Brown, but I don't know if he's going to speak. But you know what? In the meantime, that's what you need to do. If you never miss an episode, this Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Astros ad-free, plus members-only Discord and more. Head to lockedonastros.supercast.com. And for those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen, Locked On Fantasy Baseball, as you gear up for the MLB season. You know, something I haven't done this year, which is unlike myself, I haven't even looked into getting into fantasy baseball as a league. But I can tell you, when I do play fantasy baseball, Locked On Fantasy Baseball is a phenomenal resource.
All right, guys. So we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully there'll be some more storylines going around Astros baseball. If not, we'll talk about some more about what's trending in Astros Nation. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
Go Stros.
Trending.
Trending. Trendsetter.